never get too soon old and too late smart.
Cover your ears. Primarily, the F word will be the subject here. We have now long lived in times where it's rare to find anyone, the very young to old, not regularly exposed to such language, uncoded. Do some ears need covering? Perhaps not many. In my case, perhaps only a certain mother-in-law. Certainly no earmuffs for Ashley Judd are needed. She is newly famous to me for unleashed rough language from the other side of the aisle. If that piques your interest, be sure to see her TED Talk regarding online abuse of women. It pulls zero punches, especially her direct language, and it ends so nicely. Google Ashley Judd online abuse of women. Back to me. I am taking back my vocabulary, all of it. Who decides my available choice of words? Robbing me of fuck? One of the most expressive words there has ever been? Note to self. It has been me, myself, and I actually doing the robbing. In 1968 was the first serious article I read on the subject of fuck. It was in Playboy. I subscribed for the article's wink, wink. I got excited about the article's adult depth, the surprise to me, long history told, and the article's attempts to define. The ending was, we've decided we really don't know what it means, so oh well, fuck it. That last being the only direct usage. All else was indeed deep scientific analysis. Seriously. I was anxious to share that article with anyone that would listen. The only person I did share it with was my later first wife. Having just met in a bar, what was I thinking? We left to eat somewhere. The neatly folded pages were perched on my visor. Apparent only later, being appalled and totally hiding her feelings, that precious article to me soon disappeared by her hand. That is, I assert that she took it upon herself to destroy it and save the world from its ilk. You know, fucking censorship. What of my earlier relationship to, let's say, strong words? Long ago, after a passing car flipped into a ditch, I was the first person on the scene. Dad, with the rest of my family, with his Buick Spotlight warning oncoming traffic of the accident, stayed in the car. People falling out of the windows with my helping hand, and a radio blasting. No one was hurt, saying that they just needed help with another 180 degrees of car flipping. That is, altogether, 1, 2, 3. Count me out. I concluded all were drunk, and that they were a danger to the rest of us on the road. Disgusted, I went back to my family's car and I said, let's get the hell out of here. No pause upon my order. That's what my dad did. He punched that Buick. That story is to point out that in my family, saying hell was extreme. I used to often say that my dad was pure, except for the cream in his coffee. Change came. Within about 4 years, while in the Navy, it seems every other word heard and used by me was fuck. So much so, it disappeared from my conscious notice. During my Navy enlistment, my grandmother passed while I was stationed at Guantanamo. Thank you, Navy, for getting me to her funeral in California. Picked up at the airport, I was in a stretch limo with several relatives I'd never met nor probably even heard about. I was asked about my experiences at Guantanamo. My response was that I did lots of salt water, brand new to me, snorkeling and diving to the bottom of 45-foot depths. Dives ended by just relaxing. Then you'd come bobbing up like a fucking cork. That moment paused all interaction between everyone in the limo for nearly the rest of the ride to the funeral. especially including my parents there from Idaho. It was like everyone said with their body language, okay, this is a solemn event, so let's just ride in silence and try to avoid all eye contact. In my family, saying fuck, or perhaps even knowing the word existed, was so egregious. The sound of silence and fleeting glares in the limo were loud. Before enlisting in the Navy, I was naive, and I had supposedly been justly protected from some realities of the world. I admit parents always do their best, meaning that this is not an accusation of wrongdoing on their part. Instead, this is a story of how things have changed and their extent of change, a history lesson of how I've arrived to declare my adulthood with lament. I waited until I'm fucking 70 to do this. Times have certainly changed. Who knows of snafu and foobar? Snafu is defined by my computer's dictionary as a confused or chaotic state, a mess, a word that I think is known by many. Assuming a mixed-age audience, only some of you will know the letters of snafu has specific meaning. My computer's dictionary doesn't cover that. Snafu is actually an acronym. Its letters are code. Code for situation normal, all fucked up. Usually a sentiment directed at someone in military experience, something in one's military experience during World War II. Besides snafu, foobar was a common acronym. One also completely freely, okay to say out loud. Its code letters are for fucked up beyond all recognition. And what if BFD? I figured out this next part when young people told me they couldn't possibly remember my long-defunct shoe-tying website, www.akabfd.com. That first part just means also known as, with its official way to write in all uppercase separated by periods, AKA. Now for the second part. You must be guessing the F in BFD is for fuck. The whole website was simply www, also known as bigfuckingdeal.com. No scribbling on a piece of paper needed by my generation to remember. Why don't youngsters, remember to me that almost everyone not a baby boomer and the names of categories of generation since, us baby boomers, all blend together. Just so you know, my broken perspective. So why don't youngsters usually know BFD's meaning? The reason I assert, one that brings me to jealousy, I think it's because they have been hearing and saying fuck their whole lives. Its use has just not been any big deal. They are left head-scratching as about needing to make up coded F-word messages. Everyone certainly has figured out the meaning of F-word. It and others still find favor on broadcast TV, but not so much on cable. However, just yesterday, some 3 million and maybe more marchers were in the news, many wearing kitty hats, as described on daytime cable. To me, the world has so much to learn about what is important. Duh. Oops. Some consider duh as extreme rudeness of language, as in, let's scrub with soap our mouths of such filth. Really? Shoot me with a stun gun. Let's talk about the existence of substitute word codes. The irony of it being okay to say darn, but not damn, or perhaps saying heck instead of hell, has long been confusing to me. And I mean especially since being a child, or when I was a child. None of this is to suggest that youngsters don't have coded messages. Like when friends and I would ask on the phone, how's the weather? We weren't fooling anyone. That was a question of, is the coast clear of parents? No, really. My jealousy about word usage doesn't just reside with youngsters. I decry so many others. For example, George Carlin, Chris Rock, Bill Maher, all are people I watched set themselves free early on in their lives. I even paid cable fees for the privilege. WTF, or rather, what the fuck? I'm hereby joining the crowd of empowered adults. Should I drop this laptop that I write on? You won't hear me say, oh darn, crap, shucks, or the like. Isn't it about time I joined the rest of the fucking world and allowed my brain to voice, to be heard? I have too long given lip service to say what you mean and mean what you say. As an elder, all generations before me are dead. Aunts, uncles, parents. That's what it means to be an elder. If they roll over in their graves because of this talk, do I have any chance of waking them up? If so, I want to talk to them, talk back to them forcefully once again, and announce my moving forward. Rael. P.S. While researching the word gratuitous, defined by my computer's dictionary as uncalled for, lacking good reason, I stumbled onto an article written by Piarco Valdesco on April 5, 2016, in the Scientific American magazine. Here is a salient quote from that serendipitous discovery. This finding can serve as a nice empirical middle finger from vulgarians everywhere, directed at those who had, until now, been unfairly judged them for their linguistic abilities. Swearing, it seems, can be creative, smart, and even downright lyrical. My version of the same sentiment, and with the intention of putting a smile on Bill's face. Bill Maher is known for, let's say, spewing his mind. But I say the colorful languages is more than not only for good reasons. That is, it is not gratuitous babble. Gratuitous, not gratuitous. In other words, not uncalled for, not lacking good reason. That said, is why I think Bill was able to book the 44th President of the United States as a guest who, in his farewell speech, ended with admitting, at least in private, that he too has thoughts so similar to mine. Ones that, understandably, because of the honor of the office, was language he kept completely censored from the public. Perhaps someday even that will change? Would that be for the better? Perhaps every mother-in-law would disagree. Who's to argue with them? I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. But I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.